Today we're going to carve a Nutcracker Santa Claus on this Basswood rolling pin. Welcome to the Grumpy Old Guy wood carving studio. Let's get started. Here's the wood that I'm going to be using today. It's a Basswood rolling pin. I don't know, about 18 inches long maybe. 2 3/8 wide. 2 and maybe a little wider than that. But anyway, I start off by drawing my subject. In this case, last night I was tired when I drew this one here on the right, or on the left, I mean. And my measurements were off, and I kept drawing it anyway, and I kept looking at it like, nah, that doesn't look quite right for the size of wood that I'm going to be using. So this morning, oh, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I went ahead and remeasured. So measure 3 or 4 times before you start drawing or cutting. It's a good rule of thumb, and you won't. But then, you know, this one I can be using that in future pieces, shorter pieces of wood. Here's a smaller rolling pin that I'll be using for a future video. Start by drawing a center line, and that's just put your hand up against the side of it there and just give yourself and then I'm coming down about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. You can do as much or as little as you want. It's your project. So I'm just gonna put my finger here, and I'm just gonna, let's try to keep it even here. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, if you wind up with a wavy line, that'll just give it more character. And we came pretty close to the same place, so let's do the same thing on this end. And then our carving will be in between these 2 lines. And pretty close. Thing I wanted to mention about this piece of wood, you can see the little indentation right here. So that's going to be the front of the carving, because I can carve that away. On the back side, I've got a little pine knot, or a little knot. So I don't know what kind of wood I'm going to run into down here, if it's going to be hard or soft, or if that knot's going to get in my way. So we'll just keep that on the back side and the indentation on the front. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. My measurements don't have to be perfect, because I'm going to be changing it anyway as I get into it. But that'll be about there, the brim of the hat there, bring it down a little bit there. Let's see the nose, bring the nose down about here. Give him a big old nose. We'll draw his eyes in here. It's just a rough sketch. Like I said, I'll be carving all this away anyway, and I often, I don't like that. Let's change this. There we go. I often change what I'm doing anyway. I don't stick to my sketch too much. And let's see, let's put his top of his mustache here. Bottom of the mustache. His mouth will go in here. Probably a wider later on. This is just to give me an idea of where to start carving. His beard will come down. Probably from around here. And see, already I'm thinking, maybe I should shorten his face up a little bit, but let's go ahead and continue. Let's put the bottom of his coat here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna shorten his face up a little bit. So I got more room to use this. Now his mittens are going to come around to the side like this. His arms. And his boots. I don't know if you can see that. Top of his boots, bottom of his pants. And that's what we're going for. I'll even put in a pom-pom on the end of his hat up there. Okay. I've gone ahead and redrawn, moved his head up a little bit higher and darkened it in so you can see where I was drawing. I don't usually use a marker, but for the purposes of this video so that you can see it, but you can see it. It's going all the way around. It's a three-dimensional carving. I've gone ahead and gone around with the V tool on some of these lines that have to be cut in deeper. You don't have to have the power tool. You can use your pocket knife or wood carving mallet tools or whatever you've got. It doesn't matter. These tools can be done purely by hand. But I wanted to get done a little bit faster, so it's a little harder going cross grain anyway. Let me introduce you to my carving arm. I think it's made out of oak. It's very hard wood. It's just this long arm with a joint, and you can position it up or down however you need to. But one of the nice things you can do is take, if you're working on a three-dimensional carving, you drill a hole through the bottom and then put this screw up through the bottom, and then you can tighten it down and hold it on the carving arm, and use both hands if you need to, like if you're using mallet tools or knives or whatever. For this carving, I want to use some mallet tools. I take a towel, wrap it around here to protect the wood, and then just use a band clamp. Stick the wood in here like this, and now I can start working on it. Just have to tighten it down. Position it, and we're good to go. Next, I like to use my mallet tools because they're easier to work with than the hand tools for stuff like this, where you're just removing a lot of wood. So, just need to relieve some of this up here. Work your way around. Rotate the rolling pin as you need to. And again, you can use hand tools if you want. You can use a pocket knife or whatever you've got. Carved off part of the nose sketch, so I'll put that back in, put that center line back in there. Like I said, it's no big deal, you just draw it back in. You're going to be carving off a lot of it anyway, so it gives you a chance to draw it in a different way if you want to. If you don't like where it was going, then redraw it and carve it. Carving, separating the legs here. Giving them some definition. All right, so I'm probably gonna revert back to hand tools, palm tools and such for some of these other things because they're a little more delicate and I don't need to go very deep. A lot of them will be going with the grain, and the nose, I don't need to go real deep for this area here. But I'm probably using the V tool. Parting tool is another name for that. We're going back to the hand tools for a while, and I'm going to sit down for a while. It's sitting at the bench on that stool. It's a little uncomfortable, so I've got a little more control over it. I can hold the wood into my leg and just take it down. We're going to work on the nose a little bit. Take it down. Now, if you use a V tool, you want to hold it kind of like a knife. If you're cutting a straight edge, you don't want to taper that nose too much. You just tilt it until it's like a knife cutting along that edge. The same thing on this side. Turn it the other way. Cut down around. I might have to go back to the thinking I might have to go back to the mallet tools for that, because it's basswood, but it's still going cross grain. It's still a little hard. Just cut, make a cut and go a little deeper. I decided to go back to the mallet tools for a while. It's just a little easier. Hear that tearing. It sounds like I need to go back the other way. Going against the grain. There we go. Yep, tearing on that side now. So I'm just going to work my way around and bring out some of these details a little bit. Well, not really detailed, but just bringing out the different shapes that I'm going to have to. Thanks for joining me again in the Grumpy Old Guy Wood Carving Studio. I hope you're getting something out of these videos. If you are, please, again, like and subscribe. Now get off my lawn.